Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Happiness. So, I hope you're having a beautiful day out there. I wanted to jump on here and kind of talk about some personal things. And the reason I want to talk about them is because this episode is going to be all about having unwavering faith in the universe. And this is something I feel very near and dear to my heart right now because I've been going through a lot. And after talking to dozens of other people, I find out that I'm not the only one. There are so many of us going through major, major life changes right now. And from all of the people I've talked to, we all talk about, there's been some themes. There's been a few that have been, relationships breaking down. But the big themes I'm hearing about are work stuff and financial stuff. It seems that there's a lot of chaos going on, and the energies are just kind of all over the place. But at the same time, everybody I've talked to says they also feel extremely protected and like everything's going to be okay. And I think that in times of struggle and in times of stress and anxiety, and when nothing seems to make sense, it is so important to be able to rely on that faith. So that's really what I want to talk about today. Because, when you're just exhausted or heartbroken or lost and you feel like everything is just falling apart, sometimes that's when the universe is just reshaping your life so that things can fall into place, right? But this isn't to say that we need to have toxic positivity or anything, because we still need to feel those feelings and we still need to understand that, it's okay to cry and it's okay to, feel lost and that that's okay. But I think there's just been moments like that today, here recently in like the last several weeks, where we've just felt like everything's working against us. You're trying, you're showing up, and still things are falling through. Money's not seeming to stretch. The fear is getting really loud. And sometimes I think it's easy to be like, where is God? Where is the universe? Like, why is this happening? But when you step back and take a look, I think everything begins to make sense. So I wanted to start just with that. And so I'll start with, and then I'll go on to a personal story here about myself. A few weeks ago, well, I guess it's been about a month now. My mom almost died. Well, first off, I guess I should start by saying my son needed to come back home for a while. So that happened. The day that was happening, my mom almost died. Thankfully, we got to her in time, got her to the hospital, and she was saved. 5 more minutes, and she probably wouldn't have been. So I was taking care of all of that. Everything seemed like it was going to work out. I'm like, okay, we're alive. Everything's good. And then that same week, I found out I was losing my job. As most of you know, I was a contract nurse for a home health company. I'd been there for a while. And basically, it wasn't the office's decision. It wasn't my decision. It was the fact that they were finally full staffed with full-time employees, and they just didn't need any travel nurses anymore. So I had about 2 weeks left of that contract. And, I was able to save up about a month's worth of money, maybe a month and a half. And that was really, really stressful. It was extremely stressful. Because I think when it comes to financial worries, it's like that's our livelihood, It's not like a relationship ending where, you're not physically gonna die, but our money, that's our bills, that's how we eat, that's how we survive. That's, how we have a roof over our head. That's everything. When I found out that was happening, it was complete panic mode. It was stress and it was a lot. Sorry if you just heard my phone go off. I forgot to put it on silent. But yeah, let me do that real quick. All right, I put it on silent now. Um, so I started applying for other jobs quickly. And because and the funny thing was, I had planned on stopping in September anyway. I was done. I was going to move on in September. And my son said something to me one day. Um, he said, "So you're upset about having to leave a job that you hate?" And I really had to ponder that thought. Because I loved the people I worked with. It wasn't that I didn't love them. I loved the patients. I loved a lot of the things about that job, but I hated the fact that I had no work-life balance. I wasn't able to work on my business. I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. I felt like I had no freedom. I felt like I was completely restricted. And that's where I was. So I started applying for jobs. I did get a new job. I start tomorrow, actually, is my first day. Um, and there's still stress involved though. This job is going to be a lot of working from home, but it's definitely going to be a huge pay cut. I am going to be living on half of the income I was before. So all of this is to say, I don't want to like bore you guys with all the details, but when I started this podcast, the whole point was to take people through these journeys with me and to help people feel like they weren't so alone. So that's why I'm sharing this story with you. So through all of this, I had this uncanny sense that I was protected. I talked to God many, many times. I prayed that my bills would be taken care of, and I just had faith that He was going to be there and that everything was going to work out. Um, because the thing is, the universe is always working for you, even when it doesn't look like it, and even when you can't see the full picture yet. And I still don't see the full picture. I still don't know, where everything is going. But I know that the universe is conspiring for me. It's always for us. And so as I've been going through these things, I've talked to several other people, dozens of people at this point. And I find that so many other people are going through the exact same situations. Either, sorry, my nose is itching. That usually is a sign that you're from your higher self that you're on the right track. So just, oh my gosh, it's itching bad. If you're watching the visuals on YouTube, sorry. Um, but I find that so many other people are going through the same situations. They've either lost their job or, their finances aren't coming, or they've had major changes within their job, or they've got relationships breaking down. And I do believe that we are going through some major breakdowns of systems. Astrologically speaking, that is also something that is happening. We just had, we've had some major outer planetary changes. I'm not going to go full details on all of the astrology because I don't want to confuse people, but um, I do think astrologically speaking, when you look at the astrology, come September, things are going to get easier. Um, but I just wanted to come on here and like make this brief podcast and kind of let people know that if you're going through this, you're not alone right now. This is something that seems to be collectively happening, that we are all going through these processes, these so-called breakdowns. But the thing is, we have to go through them in order to up level our lives. It's almost like we're leaving the past version of ourselves behind so that we can step into the new version of ourselves. For me, this comes from, I've always had like a direct supervisor. Like I've always had basically somebody holding my hand. And this job so far, I mean, I'm gonna have a supervisor, but it's not like that. It's a little bit more freedom. And I'll tell you, for the first time these last couple weeks, even though I didn't have know where my next check was going to come from yet because I hadn't completely got this job yet and didn't have my start date and everything, I felt more free than I had felt in such a long time. And that's what I asked the universe for. That's what I've been manifesting was freedom. Freedom to do what I wanted to do. And so with that freedom came a lot of like soul searching. It carried a lot of meditation, a lot of talking to God, a lot of relying on my faith. So, if these are things that you're struggling with still, I just want to encourage you to keep going, to understand that, that, even when things are falling apart, they're often falling into place. That the universe doesn't operate on your timeline, it operates on divine timing. And if you look for the synchronicities in your life, you will see them. Like the right people will show up at the right time. You will get the right phone call at the right time. I mean, yes, you do have to take little action. I mean, you can't just lay in your bed and cry all day. Um, what I do, and this is kind of just a little, a little tidbit from me, if you want to take this or advice or whatever it is give yourself 24 hours, maybe even 48 if it's really bad. Like you can give your, but no longer than 48. But I would say even 24, no longer than 24, really. But if you need 48, go ahead, give yourself the 48 hours. Let yourself grieve, let yourself feel the feelings, let yourself cry and get all of those emotions out. And then get back up on the horse, get back up there and start figuring out what you're going to do. So for me, this was applying for jobs. This was applying for jobs and just trusting God that the one that was meant for me was going to come my way. And I do believe that this job I took was that because again, it is giving me more freedom than I've had, which is what I asked for. And it's also, it's a lot of working from home. So now I have like a home office set up with headphones and microphone and the whole thing. And that's really what I need to get used to doing because I want to have my own business one day and I want to help people and help people change their lives and do that from on my own timeline and like here at my house. I need to be able to get used to that. And so I think this job is preparing me to stepping into the version of myself that I truly know I am, not the old version of myself, if that makes sense. That's just my example. There's many other examples out there, but I know that this is just something that a lot of us are going through right now. And I just want to remind you that your job isn't to control the how. Your job is to keep showing up, to stay open, and to trust that something bigger is unfolding, even in the dark. That's what faith is. It's not just believing when it's easy. That's easy to do. Like, if things are easy, like, we're going to have faith. But true faith and true faith in the universe and in God is standing in the storm and saying, I trust you anyway. I trust what you have planned for me. And just knowing that you are fully protected. And I'll tell you what, that it has really tried me lately. Like my faith was definitely tried. Going through the struggle in the last month with everything that was happening, and I actually thought it was going to be summer was going to be smooth sailing because of the astrology, because Jupiter went into Cancer. I will talk about that a little bit. And Jupiter is what we call exalted in Cancer, and that means it loves to be in Cancer. It's like its favorite sign, I think, to be in. And Jupiter is the planet of abundance and blessings and goodwill. And so whatever house you have Cancer in, so if you're interested, look up your birth chart, find out what house Cancer is in for you. For me, it's the house of self. So it's the blessings and the abundance and all the good things coming your way. However, we also have Saturn there. Saturn is the big daddy of astrology. Saturn likes to teach us lessons. So it's not surprising that a lot of people are going through some struggles right now because Saturn is sitting there overlooking everything. Come September, Saturn will move away. That's why I said things will probably get easier come September. Now, that's all I'm going to say about the astrology. And I'm sorry if I confused many of you out there, but I just wanted to let you know that I think things will clear up if you are going through some trying times right now. Okay. So, uh, some ways to get through this obviously is again just talking to God. God will show you the way. Talking, praying, meditating. I do meditation every morning. I have really got back on to that. Meditating every morning. I've also, because I've had the freedom these last couple weeks while I haven't been working, I've had the freedom to do things such as I'm eating super clean now. Like I'm like eggs in the morning, um, lots of protein. We eat clean dinners every night. I've been working out like pretty much every day. Me and my son, we go to the gym. That has been going amazing. So, trying to get some vitamin D. I'm probably not the greatest at getting out in the sun because it has been kind of hot, but that can also it can just make you feel really good. But eating that clean diet and exercising, or, I know people don't like that word. So just like moving your body, I guess you could say, and meditation, those things can make you feel really good. It has really helped me. And then, of course, like I said, just relying on God and the universe, you know? Um, just remember that everything is always working out for you, even when you can't see it yet. And you can use that as an affirmation if you want. Just say it every day. Everything is always working out for me, even when I can't see it yet. And then another thing I want you to try to do if you are struggling right now is look for synchronicities. So oftentimes the universe speaks to us through signs, through repeating numbers, dreams, um, song lyrics could happen, conversations you might overhear. So oftentimes it's just those synchronicities. You know, you're thinking about something or you're going through something and you see repeating numbers everywhere. Like I see 111 a lot. That's a big one for me, or 1111. Those have been huge, especially lately for me. Um, phone calls or you just different things. Like the other day, this is something silly, but I'll just use it as an example. I was sitting there and it was a couple days before the full moon, but it was looking pretty full. And I looked up at the moon. I was sitting outside. I looked up at the moon, and literally within 1 second, my best friend texted me and she was like, "You need to look at the moon right now." Like I mean, it's obviously that's just like a sign that like there's just something greater than us out there. And we all have this ability to telepathically communicate with each other. And it's just we don't always see it because we're so stuck in this ego mindset and we're so stuck in this human body that we're living in. But that's it's just a vehicle, right? Like we're really this, you know, soul that is, multidimensional. I've had lots of dreams lately, which has been pretty wild. Um, but yeah, I just want people to know that they're not alone. I want you to understand that. I want you to know that if you're going through some hard times right now, it seems to be the theme, the energies, and it's not gonna last. Nothing lasts. Like everything is temporary here on this earth. Um, Faith isn't passive, you know. It's deeply courageous to have faith. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just surrender. To surrender everything and just try not to worry too much. Again, you have to take the action. You have to figure out things, but if you just surrender and you talk to God and you let yourself be silent, I think silence is one of the most powerful things. So instead of scrolling through your phone all day long, I'm not saying not to ever because like I still scroll on my phone. Like I'll look at my TikToks, passes the time sometimes. But also, I encourage you to get quiet, especially an hour after waking up in the morning and an hour before you go to bed. Get quiet and just talk to God. You can, read you know, a good spiritual book. Conversations with God is a good one. A Course in Miracles is a good one. The Bible is always a good one. Anything that can bring you closer to God or closer to whatever higher power you believe in, or whatever faith you have, anything like that. Meditation, just silencing the mind. You can find many, many good meditations on YouTube. They're all over the place. Or you don't even have to listen to like a guided meditation. You can just sit with your eyes closed and I know a lot of people struggle with that because they say that thoughts get in the way, but I like to pretend my thoughts are just like on a leaf floating by. That can work too. And just listen because, you will get the answers from your higher self, the universe, God. Like I said, when I say God and the universe, it's whatever higher power you believe in, okay? Because I think most of us know that we have one. And sometimes it's just your higher self, your soul talking to you and giving you the answers. So, um, I think that's mostly what I have for you today. I hope this is really helpful. Um, because I think that uh we all deserve to know that we're not alone. So just remember that you're not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are not being punished. You're being prepared, you're being guided, and you are deeply, divinely loved and protected. So just take a deep breath And remember that the universe always has your back. Even when it feels like everything is falling apart, trust that something beautiful is being born. So that's all I have to say for you guys today. If this episode spoke to you, I'd just love for you to share it with someone who might need a little extra faith today. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so we can keep growing this life together because, I would love to hear from you guys. And don't forget to leave me a review because it really helps other people find these episodes. And for those of you who have been listening, I just thank you for coming along with me on this journey and for letting me share a little piece of my life with you and for just being there. So until next time, keep the faith, y'all, and trust that the magic is there. Okay, I love you all so much. Bye for now.